Hi everyone, welcome to Nana's Tiny Kitchen. Today I'm going to do something that I've never attempted to do before, but it's one of my all-time favorites. I remember them when I was a kid. I think it was at my grandpa's house. I think his wife Angie actually made them, but I'm going to attempt to make arancini, which is a rice ball, basically. So, oh my God, this is like, I'm so excited because I've never done this before. So, okay, I'm actually going to do this with pork. There are so many different variations of this recipe depending on which region of Italy you come from. It's ridiculous. You can go from village to village and everybody has their own take on it. All right, well, I took a little bit of each and hopefully they'll come out good. So I have a pan here, which I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil. And I'm going to start off by sauteing some onions, a little bit of carrots, and some garlic. Now I want to say this is probably close to a half a cup, more than a quarter cup of onion. Let's get all you guys in there. Now I've seen some recipes where they don't use the carrot, it's just the onions and the garlic, but I kind of like the concept of using the carrot. Let me get my stir thing. I'll use you. Get them sauteed in there. I want the onions to get just like any other recipe, you don't want them to burn, you just want them translucent. And I'm not quite going to add my garlic yet. I'm going to give this a little sprinkle of salt, probably about a teaspoon, to help those onions sweat, and a little bit of ground pepper. I'm a fan of ground pepper. Give them a stir. Now I've seen them make this with ground beef. In Sicily, where my dad is from, they probably use lamb or veal, which veal makes a lot of sense for where he's from. I've seen them do like a ragu or bolognese in the middle of the rice ball. But I saw one that was with just straight up ground pork, not ground sausage, but just straight up ground pork. And I was like, wow, that sounds interesting. I'm going to do it that way. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Sicilian or Italian rice ball, but they're really good. Now I'm going to add my garlic. And this was one clove of garlic, one large clove of garlic. I'm going to get this mixed in here. It already smells so good. Onions and garlic frying in anything smells amazing. Now I'm going to take my ground pork and I'm kind of going to break it up a little bit. Now this is probably about a pound. And this is going to be the filling for the rice balls. I'll give my hands a rinse. Turn it up a little bit so we get it we want to get nice and browned. Okay, I'm going to get this nice and browned up, and then we'll go from there. All right, at this point, this is just about ready. Now I'm going to add probably a tablespoon or so of tomato paste. Maybe a little more. Maybe about 2 tablespoons. I always buy tomato paste in the tube. because this way, if you don't use the whole thing, you don't get that icky stuff around the can. If you use a can, and you don't have to take it out and put it in something else if you don't use the whole thing. So we'll get this stirred up. Now I'm going to stir in these were just straight up frozen peas. Let's see, I wasn't even sure how many I would need. So in this little thing was probably about a cup. So I want to see how this is going to work out. Well, that's probably enough. So if I was really measuring, I would say about 2/3 of a cup of peas. Now I'm going to go grab something, some a little extra to stick in there, just for the heck of it. You'll see. All right, just for the heck of it, I'm going to give it a little swirl of wine. Not too much. White wine will work well with this as well, especially since it's pork. Oh, that smells so good. Mmm. I so love doing this, even if I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm gonna let this on. I'm gonna turn it down and let this go for a few minutes just to make sure that the pork is cooked through. If you were using ground beef, it would be the same thing. Oh, beautiful. And then we'll start putting them together. All right, here we go. I actually made one just to make sure that I can do it. So I'll probably screw it up now that I'm filming. But I got a little bit of water here. This meat, I put it on a flat plate so it cooled off a lot quicker than if I piled it, and I stuck it in the refrigerator for like 10 minutes. And over here I have some cut up mozzarella. I have my risotto, my rice, which is nice and cooled off. This is plain breadcrumbs. These are my homemade breadcrumbs. I just, when they were in the Ziploc bag, I crunched them up to make them even more fine, because the coating on this, I assume we want a little bit dense, not like a cutlet where you don't want it so dense. And then in here I scrambled 2 eggs, or beat up 2 eggs, and added a little bit of salt and pepper. Okay, let's get started. First I'm going to wet my hand, the hand that the rice is going to go in. Take a handful of rice, put it in my hand. Watch me screw this up now that I'm on camera. Oh well. Oh, I think I need a little more water. And make a tiny little pouch in there almost. And don't worry about it after you cover it. If there's still some sticking out, I'll show you. You take a teaspoon, put a little bit in the middle, not too much. We don't want to overfill it. Take a couple of pieces of cheese, like that. I'm going to do 3. And I'm going to wet my hand and grab a handful of rice and go right on the top. And make a ball. Switch hands. Make a ball. Now I can start squishing it down like I'm making a sticky, really sticky meatball. And like I said, if you see any, like on this, I can see a little bit sticking through. Just patch it up with a little bit of rice and you're good to go. Now I don't want to dunk it in the egg. What I would rather do, because I don't want the rice to come loose after I spent all that time getting it all together, I just want to go over it a little like this. Just let it fall over the egg. You obviously can't answer the phone when you're making these. Anyway, and now I'm going to roll it in the plain breadcrumbs. These are unseasoned, just plain breadcrumbs. Just give it a roll around. Oh, that's beautiful. I'm going to set this one aside, rinse my hands, and make another. Leave my hand wet because it works better when your hand's wet. I used a nice risotto. It's a nice short, chubby grain. You could use any rice. I mean, I can't find the rice that they recommend that you use for this unless I order it online, because none of the places around here have that. Okay, again, I'm making like a little cup in there. A teaspoon, not too much. A couple of pieces of cheese. I put 3. You can put 4. Wet my hand. Grab a handful of rice. Go right over the top and squeeze. Squeeze. Do I see anything poking through? Yes, I do. I see a little cheese. I'm going to push it down and cover it with a little more rice. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the egg. Just go over it. In the pan that I'm standing over right now, I have a couple of cups of vegetable oil, which I'm going to get these fried up. Roll it, cover it. Oh, yes. Now really, how could this be bad? Tell me. Oil is nice and hot, so I'm going to get these fried up. Rinse my hands. There's a lot of rinsing of the hands in this recipe. And then I'll plate them up and show you what they're supposed to look like, I hope. Okay, everyone, here goes. There you go. Look how beautiful that looks. And I just put a little bit of salsa over the top and a little bit of Romano cheese. You could use Parmesan cheese, but I'm just about to cut into this, so let's see. First time. Ooh, and it's still hot inside. Oh, look at how beautiful that looks. Gorgeous. Usually we serve this with a little bit of basil over the top. Let's see. Hold on. I just want to make sure. One more bite. Just making sure. Not too bad for the first time. Actually, really good. Alright. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you taking the time to watch my videos. I hope you like this. I hope you try to make this at home. It's a lot of work, but it's actually really rewarding. And it's something that you can do. Actually, if you form the rice balls, I suppose you can probably freeze them for, making them when you have company, and make them when you do have the time, and then deep fry them, when the day that you're having a company. So, till next time, thanks everyone. Ciao.